Okay, Andrew, go ahead.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Kira. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest webinar. I'm Andrew Campbell-Edie. I'm the Communications Manager at the Irish Centre for Diversity. Self-describe, I'm a black man. My pronouns are he, him. I have close cropped hair on my head, otherwise known as bald, and a black moustache. I'm wearing spectacles, and I'm in front of a white virtual background with the logo for the Irish Centre for Diversity and our coloured triangle branding. About today, we recently held the National Diversity and Inclusion Awards to recognise and celebrate the valuable work being done to progress diversity and inclusion in Ireland. This webinar series has been devised to share the insights and experiences from the sponsor, the winner, and the finalists, so that any learnings can be applied to your organisation or to help with entering the next award cycle. Today's session focuses on the category Advancing LGBTQ+ Inclusion. This category recognises the organisations that are really leading the charge when it comes to DE&I and can demonstrate that they have this vital area at the heart of their business or organisation. This is now needed more than ever. Quick word about our sponsor. The National Lottery was established in 1987 with the express purpose of raising funds for good causes all over Ireland. Since then, almost 6 billion has been raised for communities in the areas of health, sport, arts, culture, youth, community, and the Irish language. The National Lottery is one of less than 30 workplaces to hold Investors in Diversity Gold, and this is their third time sponsoring the Advancing LGBTQ+ Inclusion category. And they've supported this award since we launched in 2023. I'll shortly hand over to the sponsor, and then we'll hear from some of the finalists, and end with the award winner, wrapping up in about an hour. We're joined today by Shelley Gibson, our ISL interpreter. Thank you, Shelley. The session's being recorded and will be available on the Irish Centre for Diversity website. Everyone is muted except the panel. The session's being recorded. Oh, sorry, I just said that. Please share your comments in the chat function. We'd love to hear which organisations you're joining us from. There isn't time for Q&As today, but you may get answers to any direct questions or follow-on questions you have by connecting with any of our panelists on LinkedIn directly. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our host for today's session, Yvonne Donegan, who's head of HR at the National Lottery. She'll shine a light on their organisation's diversity inclusion advances and lead what is sure to be an enlightening conversation. Over to you. One thing before we start. It's important to mention that the National Lottery, like the other sponsors and the Irish Centre for Diversity, had no part in the judging process and couldn't enter themselves. So without further ado, over to you, Yvonne.
Thanks, Andrew. Hello, everyone. My name is Yvonne Donegan. As Andrew's mentioned, I'm the head of HR for the National Lottery, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. To briefly self-describe, I'm a woman. My pronouns are she, her. I have shoulder-length blonde hair, and today I am wearing a black shirt and I have a blurred background today. I'm in a meeting room and work. At the National Lottery, we're very proud to be sponsoring this award for the third time. Our continued sponsorship reflects our belief in the importance of diversity and inclusion and our commitment to supporting and celebrating those driving real change in this space. Recognising and amplifying best practices is key to progress, and we're honoured to play a role in highlighting the incredible work that's being done. Like many organisations, our D&I journey has had its highs and its challenges. We've made progress in some areas, and in others, we recognise there's still more work for us to do. What's important to us is our continued commitment to fostering an inclusive environment where all employees feel valued, heard, and empowered to contribute. We're continuing to learn from others, refine our approach, and ensure that D&I remains a priority in the business. As Andrew mentioned, as sponsors, we're not part of the judging process, so I'm very excited to hear from today's panel and learn about the incredible work being done by the finalists. Their insights and achievements inspire us all, and I have no doubt that today's conversations will be an enlightening one. So to start us off, we have our first finalist, Greenhouse Software. So Greenhouse Software were unable to join us today. However, I'd like to read out the judges' comments to acknowledge their achievement in being shortlisted in the category. Greenhouse Software impressed the judges with their focus on LGBTQ+ representation in every role search. Voluntary and anonymous demographic information collected during the hiring process allowed them to monitor the diversity of the candidate pipeline. So congratulations again to Greenhouse Software. Moving right along, we have Maureen Lynch is with us today from Hayes, and Hayes is our second finalist. So just to go through some of the judges' comments, Maureen, the judges loved the Leading with Pride video and podcast series, which ran from June to September last year. It was an 11-episode series featuring senior leaders interviewing LGBTQ+ professionals from various industries, covering their career trajectory and how they overcame challenges in the workplace as LGBTQ+ professionals. Their advice for others in the community currently charting their career and tips for organisations who want to embrace inclusion in the workplace. Maureen, could you tell us a little bit more about your video and podcast series, where the idea originated from and the impact that it had in the business?
Of course, Yvonne, and good morning, everyone. Firstly, thanks, Yvonne, and to the National Lottery for your sponsorship of this category, and of course to the Irish Centre of Diversity for the awards and the great work that you do year in, year out. And we were absolutely thrilled to be shortlisted for advancing LGBTQ+ in the workplace. Also, I'd like to say congratulations to Transdev on taking the award and the great work that you're doing. So huge congratulations to you and the team. To self-describe, I'm a white female. I have shoulder-length hair. I'm not sure if it's blonde going grey. I'm trying to work with my greys. Today I'm wearing red glasses, and I have a background, a Hayes background, that is celebrating our upcoming International Women's Day. So just briefly then, Yvonne, to just, I suppose, Pride is a centre pillar of Hayes Ireland's annual DE&I plans, sitting under our strategic objectives to ensure all employees feel psychologically safe and their authentic selves in the workplace. The LGBT community within Hayes is strongly represented, with the Pride Network being the largest ERG in Ireland and across our wider UK and Ireland region, of which we're part of. The network has established stakeholders and sponsors and a strong representation on DE&I and other internal committees, and we regularly run other activities throughout the year to mark and make sure that there is awareness, raising awareness when it comes to advancing LGBTQ+ within Hayes. So for 2024 Pride celebrations, the LGBTQ+ Pride Network chose the theme Leading with Pride to enhance engagement and ensure activities positively impacted feelings of inclusion and belonging for LGBTQ+ employees and allies, aligning with the Hayes DE&I strategy. So leading up to June, there was a network of planned events under this theme, focused both internally and I suppose more so this ever externally as well. And that was, we were very conscious that while we're quite strong internally at celebration and raising awareness, we did definitely want to make an impact externally over 2024. Externally then, as a leading brand, I suppose, in the world of work, Hayes aimed to advance the D&I agenda, and we looked at our customers, whether that was our clients or candidates, and then our partners within Ireland. So the highlight, as you've just mentioned, was the Leading with Pride video and podcast series, and we had 12 episodes where we had featuring senior leaders interviewing LGBTQ+ professionals from various industries, covering their careers, trajectory, how they overcome challenges in the workplace as LGBTQ+ professionals, advice for others in the community currently charting their careers, and tips for organizations who want to embrace inclusion in the workplace. And we had a wide range of organizations coming from financial services, professional services, construction, tech, engineering. And companies that were featured were NatWest, IBM, Mott MacDonald, Lloyd's, KPMG, HSBC. So broad, we were conscious to make sure that we quite a broad community of speakers. The series kicked off in June. However, just to celebrate and coincide with Pride Month. However, we spaced them out to the end of September, and I suppose just very much driving the LGBTQ plus inclusion conversation beyond June and into the rest of the year. Series episodes have been widely shared and were widely shared externally by third parties and social media, as well as internally among the Pride Network and by colleagues across every area of the business, including our UK and Ireland CEO, who showcased the series in regular comms to the business and on his own social media channels. And again, we just felt this was really, really important. As I said, it was leaders within the business that hosted these podcasts, but again, and then that obviously that we were being sponsored by our CEO as well across UK and Ireland. I suppose the key impact of the series has clearly been visible for the visibility of our senior leadership, as I just said, their involvement as interviewers clearly showing their position on full equity and inclusion for LGBTQ plus people, both within our organisation and externally in the world of work. The visible buy-in from these leaders and the important conversations had, in a way, set the standard of inclusion we expect at Hayes, prompting wider D&I conversations at all seniority levels within the business, engaging our LGBTQ plus community and allies on content themes that matter to them, highlighting inequities that continue to exist, and then the overall furthering the agenda of LGBTQ plus and equity internally. And if I might just tip, we as an organisation summarised some of the key themes that came out from the various podcasts, and I believe I do have some time if you would like me to just highlight or just some of the themes that did come through, and that and these podcasts continue to be available. But psychological safety and inclusion came across really strongly, and again, just individuals feeling the need to hide their true self at work, and statements came up like, "I would lie about if I had a partner," and I hid that side of me away. And I was just highlighting the importance of creating environments where employees can be their authentic self without fear of judgment. And it's essential for us to I suppose, us as leaders and others to cultivate spaces that where everyone feels safe and can express their identity. Support and flexibility was also an area that came across quite strongly. So just creating that supportive and flexible environment, which probably sounds very obvious, but I suppose it did come across that it was important and may not always happen. And then that involved as well confidentiality, and I suppose being flexible and providing access to our mental health resources. Another interesting area was this ongoing process of coming out. A really interesting poignant, I suppose, insight from a series, and the notion that it feels like that you come out every day. Okay, and it's not just once; it's every day, with a new conversation you may have, and the process of they spoke about the process of coming out is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey. That where LGBTQ plus individuals must constantly decide whether they disclose their identity, weighing up the potential impact on their careers and their personal well-being. And the role of allies as well, as again came across really strongly, the power of networks, the importance of being your authentic self. And then I suppose the final one I would highlight as well is the role models and visibility. So that role models are playing a crucial role in fostering acceptance, and those who are willing to be visible and share their experience help to create a culture of openness and support, and that presence can encourage others to be themselves and then contribute to a more inclusive environment. So they were the key themes, and as I said, the podcast series is still there and available to be downloaded. You'll find it on LinkedIn, but again, if anybody was interested, I can happily share it with them. I suppose then just again from that the external and that impact, every episode was rolled out, as I said, across our social platforms, and we achieved over 31,000 organic video views. And the impact of this thought leadership series and the messaging promotes this was around LGBTQ plus inclusion and equity has reinforced our position at Hayes, when it comes to our commitment to the LGBTQ plus inclusion and community. And I suppose then the content specifically give insights to organizations who want to embrace full inclusion in their workplace. and is it also an attempt for Hayes to further influence key stakeholders, external stakeholders, to embrace true LGBTQ plus inclusion and the progress D&I agenda is, and the progress we're making or can support within the workplace. So I hope that was possibly, maybe, hopefully not too detailed, but gave a flavour, Yvonne, as to what we did and what we felt, how we impacted over.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Maureen. It was really, really insightful, and thank you for the extra information as well. I think people will find that really interesting. There's some very interesting statements around psychological safety, and the statement about having to come out every day and make that decision, and the constant journey that people are on, I think is very, you can feel that for them. So yeah, so I think people will take a lot from that. I love that, you know, your senior leadership are so involved and are so visible. And I think that is what success hinges on in all of our organizations, that we have a senior leadership team who want to be involved and engaged in making a safe place for everyone to work and having that inclusive environment. So yeah, it's great.
Okay,
thanks, Maureen. So I'd like to move on and welcome our third finalist and highly commended permanent TSB, represented today by Keith Spooner. So just run through some of the judges' comments. Permanent TSB was highly commended in this category by the judges for their support of their LGBTQ plus customers, recognizing the positive influence they can have on their very large customer base and exercising this influence with commitment and care. Keith, can you tell us a little bit more about how you extend the support that you show to your colleagues who are LGBT plus out to your customer group and to the wider community?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Yvonne. Hopefully you can all hear me. Yeah, and just to say, first of all, a massive well done to the Irish Centre for Diversity for their continued brilliant work, not just in this area, but just in diversity in general as well. It's a fantastic thing to even have awards like this. And also massive thanks to National Lottery. It's for every award you need a sponsor, and well done to Transdev, very deserving winners as well. So yeah, my name is Keith Spooner. I work within the retail digital channels team in PTSB, which literally means I work with digital mortgages. So that's my day-to-day job. I'm a white gay man. My pronouns are he, him. I've black straight hair and green eyes, and I'm currently wearing a grey sweater as well. My virtual background that is behind me is actually PTSB marching at Cork Pride last year. So there's a lot of smiling, happy faces, a lot of colour. There's also a Guinness advert in the top left, and there's also a donut shop behind us too. So you've got two of my favourite things in there, which is one of the reasons why I guess it's my background. So yeah, look, I think a big piece of what we've been able to achieve in PTSB over the last few years is successfully allowing our colleagues and people who come to work be themselves. And then that has naturally transpired to helping our customers be themselves as well. So we have hundreds of LGBTQIA colleagues in PTSB, and we have thousands of LGBTQIA customers in PTSB as well. And I think one of the big things we've done is leadership. We've started pretty much at the top. With the support of our PRISM LGBTQIA ERG and also our people experience team, we've basically picked board sponsorships for all ERGs across PTSB. Our retail banking director has been sponsoring us pretty much since the foundation of the group way back in 2018. And that in itself has been a key driver in getting not just the retail network, but the entire bank behind it, because one of the big things when it comes to leadership is accountability, but also then interest. We're very lucky that our board and PTSB are extremely interested in what are we actually doing in the area of DEI, and how do our colleagues feel when they're coming into work every day. Because we know, particularly as a bank, people walk into the bank for day-to-day financial services, but they also come in for the biggest moments of their lives. So if you're coming in looking for a mortgage and you happen to be applying with another man, or you're a woman applying with another woman, it can be quite daunting when you're walking in. So we want to make sure that our customers, as they enter PTSB branches, they speak to us over the phone, or even if they were to come through any of our digital channels, that they feel that they can be safe being themselves. So that's definitely been kind of the key leading indicator we've led with. To give you a bit more of a background on where we kind of come from. So we've definitely seen people experience as a key driver for organizational success. So we have a staff survey that goes out once a year. We're still waiting on the results for 2024, but in 2023, we had 89% of our colleagues saying that they were safe being themselves in work. It's a phenomenal achievement to get it that high. I still think we can do better. But I think that in itself shows that we have done enough in PTSB just to make our colleagues feel safe, bring the best version of themselves, and then relay that version back to our customers as well. We do a lot of internal stuff that supports colleagues too. We've very recently been able to draft transition guidelines. I know from being at one of the recent Pride at Work events that we're actually a bit ahead of other Irish organisations on that front. But that definitely helps not just people who are transitioning, but actually the people around them too. Because you now have people managers, you have colleagues who have policies and supports to just help our colleagues who may be either thinking about transitioning or on the journey to fulfilling their own selves as well. So that's been a key thing. As you probably have seen, I'm thinking I've dropped off, but we have applied the pronoun filter across Microsoft Teams. So jumping on and off calls day to day in work, you'll see my pronouns there, which are obviously something very small, but it definitely is a big thing to a lot of people within PTSB. And it's kind of, particularly when you think of leadership, you think of it at high level, but there is a lot of small things that we do as well. Like within the Prism ERG, we've been looking at where can we kind of fill the gap in terms of educational support. So we have a partnership with LGBT Ireland, who did 3 talks, educational talks in PTSB last year. And they actually have another one coming up in the next few weeks as well. It kind of touches on areas that sometimes you wouldn't really be as aware of. So for example, there was a talk last year around the banning of gay conversion therapy, which resonated really well, had pretty much everyone across the office speaking for days. And most people didn't know that gay conversion therapy still isn't technically illegal. And we do have a support talk coming up in the next few weeks that's centered around kind of mature over 65 LGBTQA people. And again, we're trying to tap into that gap whereby people may assume that gay people don't get old. They definitely do. So we want to make sure that our customers, particularly our older LGBTQA customers, do have safe interactions when they're dealing with PTSD as well. So we're trying to be strategic and target lots of different areas when it comes to educational talks. And look, they're usually only small 30-minute conversations, but they do definitely resonate really well with our colleagues, and then has a big impact on our customers too. I think engagement is probably one of the biggest things, I would say, from an ERG perspective that we've targeted over the last couple of years. So after every Pride event, so we're very lucky to have hundreds of colleagues marching at Dublin Pride, Cork, Letterkenny, Inishowen, and soon to be Carlow too. But it's very important that we kind of know where our colleagues are coming from. So what you do tend to see is where one person says, I'm going to go to this Pride event, they usually pull 2 or 3 along with them. So what we do is we then feed back the raw MI, the numbers of where people have been coming from within PTSB, back to the senior leadership team, so that they're aware this is the area where we're getting great engagement, and these are areas where we probably haven't maybe broken through and actually engaged them as good as we should be doing. So that's been a key piece, because particularly what we see is frontline colleagues in PTSB are some of the busiest. You know, our branch and our contact center colleagues are definitely doing the big piece and the big lift when it comes to their strategic delivery. So we want to make sure that we give them the time as well, and to come along to whether it's events, educational talks. So with the support of our volunteering team in PTSB, we've been able to offer back a volunteering day to colleagues coming along to the likes of all the Pride festivals, or even some of the educational talks. And that's really important, because a lot of our colleagues just simply wouldn't be able to attend a lot of events without that support. So I think that's been a key thing. We're definitely feel like there's still work to do. I feel like I've spoke for the last few minutes about all of the different things we have achieved, but like the biggest achievement is, in my opinion, full equality as an openly gay man. And I think we're still, unfortunately, a bit away from that. So there's still work to be done. I think strategically over the next years, PTSB is definitely going to continue to support all of our customers who are coming through all of our different channels. But most importantly, we want to make sure that PTSB is a place to safely be.
That was great. Thanks so much, Keith. Some excellent insights. And again, really good to see the senior leadership impact across the business and how their buy-in, the buy-in at that level and at board level kind of filters down through the rest of the company and gets everyone on the same page in what the strategy is and what direction that you guys are going in. So that's really great to see. And I love, you talk about all the big things that the companies are doing, but it's the small changes as well, adding pronouns to teams. Those small changes can be so impactful and mean a lot to people. So I love to hear about the small changes as well as the big things that we're all doing as well, which is great. So well done. Moving on to our fourth finalist. So our fourth finalist is the Mater University Hospital, Ireland. Siobhan sends her apologies. However, she can't make it today, but I'd like to read out the judges' comments around the nomination. So the judges really liked that they encouraged their staff to complete the HSEL and the LGBTQ+ online training by including a rainbow pack with the completion certs. This pack includes an LGBTQ+ ally pledge, a special rainbow pin, and a lanyard with the rainbow flag. Higher management, including the CEO and directors throughout the hospital, have supported their initiatives as well. So well done to the Mater Hospital Ireland. And sorry, Siobhan couldn't be here today. Our penultimate finalist is Tua Housing. Now, unfortunately, Roisin had a last-minute clash and was unable to join, so she sends her apologies. She's not able to join today. But again, I'd like to read out the judges' comments around their nomination. So approximately 10% of Tua Housing staff members identify as members of the LGBTQ+ community. One of their key initiatives in advancing LGBTQ+ inclusion has been the growth of Pride Month at Tua, evolving from a standalone coffee morning fundraiser in 2022 to Tua's first participation in the Dublin Pride Parade in 2023 and again in 2024. Tua are the first approved housing body in Ireland to participate in Dublin Pride, so that would have been a big thing for them as well. So well done to Tua. Our last finalist today is our winner, Transdev Dublin Light Rail. So congratulations to Transdev. And Transdev are being represented today by Alan McCrone. So congratulations again. Welcome, Alan. Just some of the judges' comments. So you were congratulated on your highly visible and structured initiatives, and also some more informal networks that support both LGBTQ+ colleagues and also the parents of LGBTQ+ children. You've demonstrated the power of community and the impacts inclusive workplaces can have, not just for yourselves, but for everyone that you interact with. Alan, can you talk more about what winning this award means to you and what the next steps are for Transdev in this area?
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alan McCrone. I'm a white male. My pronouns are he, him. I'm currently in the box room at home with a blank wall behind me. I'm wearing a white t-shirt. I have black hair. I have brown eyes and I have a light beard. I am my own role within Transdev. I am a Lewis driver, and I have been working for Transdev Dublin Light Rail for the last 8 years. I've had previous roles within the organisation. Prior to my current role, I was a Lewis security for about 6 years. So just a bit about the background of the company. Transdev, they are the current operators and maintainers of Lewis, which is Dublin's light rail network. We are an international company. We operate in 19 countries across the world, with over across 4 continents. In Dublin, we transport up to 100,000 passengers daily, and in 2025 we had a record-breaking 54 million passengers transported on our light rail network. Transdev Dublin Light Rail, we have 600 staff currently, and that's ever expanding and growing due to our ever expanding growing service and network that we are developing and have plans for. Within Transdev Dublin Light Rail, we have our LGBTQ plus society, locally known as Proud of Transdev, which has currently 20 staff. So in a broad scheme of things, I suppose you could say, you know, there's a lot of different companies would have hundreds of staff that would identify as LGBTQ plus or allyship, whereas we have 20 staff that are either identifies LGBT or are allies. So it's quite a small initiative or society. Our society was established to promote, educate, and organize social events. We host monthly meetings, and in 2024 we participated in Dublin Pride for the first time. We also celebrated our 20th birthday. Lewis was 20 years young last year, so this was a joint celebration within our organization. A big thing for us is that last year we implemented Transdev Dublin's Light Rail's gender transition policy. We felt that this was heavily needed within our organization. We have staff that are transitioning, and there was a bit of a gap of structure in relation to information and resources that would help and assist both the staff and management in relation to having a smooth transition in our workplace. So the purpose of our gender transition policy document with the workplace is to expand a broader commitment and recognition to foster an inclusive, supportive workplace for people that are transitioning. Clarity on procedures, so outlining steps for transitioning employees, managers, HR, and colleagues for them to follow and to use as a guide. And not only for this to be just a tick the box exercise, but that this would ensure a smooth and respectful process for these staff. The prevention of discrimination and harassment. So a policy like this would reinforce anti-discrimination policies and promotes a culture of respect and inclusion. Legal compliance. This would help the company align with local legislation and, of course, the person's human rights regulations related to their gender identity in the workplace. The use of correct names and pronouns. This document would establish guidelines for updating employee records, email signatures, or ID badges, and any internal communication that would be pertinent to that person, to that staff member. So prior to this document being integrated into the workplace, there was, like, you know, certain documents, staff's names would be changed, but there was other Excel sheets across different departments that change wasn't carried on. So we felt like there needed to be a uniformed approach and a uniformed change across the whole organization if there was in relation to a staff member's change of names and pronouns. So restroom facilities and access. This document would ensure that the person that is transitioning can use the facilities aligned to their gender identity. Also, confidentiality and privacy would protect the employee's personal information and transition-related discussions. Training and awareness. We hope that this document will encourage the organization to educate our colleagues across various departments and leadership also, so that we can continue to foster and support an inclusive work environment for persons transitioning. And also, this document will demonstrate not only the Proud Society's commitment, but also the commitment from leadership to help persons that are transitioning. We have 2 people that are transitioning currently, and they felt like, you know, previously that there wasn't any previous staff transitioning, so there was a lot of areas that needed attention. So accumulation of our work, sitting down together with other people like from TENI, the Transition Equality Network, and discussing what we need to do in order to maintain a respectful approach for persons transitioning within the workplace. This policy will help create a workplace for all employees, regardless of gender identity, feel valued and respected and empowered to be their authentic selves while working within a public transport body. And so that was a big project for us. The document is now live within our organization. It is there for staff to have access to. It is there for people that are thinking about transitioning, or new staff that come into our organization as well, whether they have transitioned or would like to transition in the future, that they know that they're coming into a workplace where that is safe and respectful of their future maybe changes that they would have within that area. Also, we, prior to our society's formation, so we founded our Proud Society in 2022, and it was very much baby step approach. Our work environment is very male oriented, or male prominent. Like, there would be majority would be male staff, and it's kind of, there was a bit of a culture change we needed to, you know, everything was just at Pride. They was, you know, not much was happening because it was very straight male orientated. So a number of us that did identify as LGBTQ plus or allies decided we would come together to establish a society to celebrate authenticity amongst queer people that work within our organization. And it was a baby step approach. We felt that coming together, we needed to establish what our objectives were, what we wanted to do, and trying to get the support of our senior management and leadership. And we had, on our first meeting, we had 8 or 9 staff come in, and 3 or 4 of them were actually members of our senior management and leadership. So we were really, really impressed. And it just grew and grew. We offer events and social activities, so we meet up regularly. Not everybody is able to go because we work shift work, so it's only those that are available to meet up. We would meet up, and we would go to either we would go to like escape rooms. We might go out for food. We might go to a team building exercise. We could go karting, bowling. So it's basically an opportunity for all of us to get together and socialize. So yeah, our commitment going forward, we're looking to establish a partnership with a LGBTQ plus charity. We have some that we are currently engaging with, and we hope to expand a relationship with these to encourage education for both our staff and to provide support to that charity going forward in the future. So yeah, we were really, really taken back by winning the award. We have one of the things there that you pointed out, Yvonne, is that our commitment to parents providing support for LGBT children. We had a number of family staff members come to us that wanted to join our society and become involved, more hands-on, because they felt that they had a commitment to live up to and to support their children that were LGBT, and they wanted to learn more. So we provide, as a group that are identifying as LGBTQ plus, we are providing support for those parents that would be strong allies for their children and both strong allies for staff. So going forward, we want to include a education plan for all staff that would like to participate. There is a lot of questions around, you'd have staff members in the canteen, there's canteen talk, and they would ask questions and they'd, respond, oh, I didn't know that or whatever. So we do feel that there is a gap there in relation to providing education to colleagues. And some of these colleagues would be of various ages, various backgrounds, various cultures. I think we've over 20 cultures, various nationalities working within our organization. So there are a lot of questions around even some of the things that we would take for granted or take, know for a long time, or even what words to use that are respectful. So it is definitely, education is one of our biggest plans for the next year going forward. And it's something that we want to run for the year, not just for Pride. And as we all know as well, like it's very, very often that we see that companies just like to, rainbow wash, I suppose, for the month of June for Pride. But it's great to see that companies like ourselves, and along with all the other finalists across all the other categories, like to promote diversity, inclusion, equality throughout the whole year. And that's something that we are going to commit to. We have a commitment as well to our passengers, that they feel that they can be their authentic selves when they get on a tram in Dublin city centre, that they can be who they want to be, that they don't feel that they're in a very unsafe area, that our staff are there to be of assistance and to provide security and to provide a high level of standard of customer care to all passengers that travel on Luas. So that's important as well. And we do run external campaigns throughout the year, promoting our participation and our support to the LGBTQ plus society. So that's very important for us.
That's brilliant, Alan. There's so much there, but well done again on winning, and well done on the initiatives that you've been talking about. The policy sounds absolutely amazing. And I can only imagine the amount of work. It's so specific, and so the way you've spoken about it, it lays everything out, and it gives people, I think, that transparency that they need, without having to feel like they have to go and have a conversation with someone. They can put their hands on that document and they can understand, and that uniform approach, knowing that this person is going to be treated the same as that person, and it doesn't matter which department you're in or what level you're at. This is what's available to me. And I think that's amazing. I think having that transparency is so beneficial for teams, so for them to understand what supports they can get from the company. I love your networking group. But I think my absolute favorite thing is the parents of children in the LGBTQ plus community coming to educate themselves and to make sure that they're supporting their children. I just love that. As the mom of a teenager, you'll take support from anywhere you can get it. They're not the most straightforward of people. So I think amazing. I absolutely love that they're coming in, and they so want to support their kids, and that you guys are there for them. Yeah, it's just brilliant. So well done again, and thank you for sharing all of that with us. Thank you everyone. That's the end of our finalists presentations. So thank you everyone for sharing. The impact of your initiatives will be felt across all of your businesses, and I'm sure further than that. I'm sure you've given lots of people on the call today some ideas. You've certainly given me some ideas. I know a few of you mentioned if anyone had questions to reach out directly on LinkedIn. So I'm sure people will be able to find any of us on LinkedIn. And with that, I'll hand back to Andrew. So thanks a million.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you for that wonderful wrap up and the key takeaways that you pulled out from that. So I don't need to do any of that. That's all wonderful. we do have a bit more time. So I do selfishly, as a gay man, have some questions that I'd like to put to the panel. And first of all, I'd like to go to Maureen without putting you on the spot. Sorry.
Okay.
A key theme that came out through the talks was psychological safety and the importance of it. And I know that one of the videos that you had for your Pride series touched on the importance of psychological safety. I wondered if you could just explain a bit more about the importance of it and how to achieve it. I know that the Hayes does a lot to kind of create that culture, and kind of what steps have you taken as a business, and what do you advise other people to do?
Yeah, no problem. I'll do my best. I suppose there was probably two. I was just reviewing. There was probably two podcasts or videos that I came across quite strongly, and in one in particular, Brian Shears, he's a partner with KPMG, and I suppose the challenge there was around a very quite traditional potentially organization, but how to navigate that. But and then the other was also, it was in a banking environment. Kieran Sharman, and again, just he shared his experience about finding it difficult to be his true, authentic self, especially at the start of his career in finance. And I think that can be the challenging piece when you're beginning a new organization. And again, back to my comment earlier around, or that other point that came across around coming out every day. And I suppose what came through that, and I suppose just within our own organization here, and a number of you have already touched on this, is I suppose the visibility, and I suppose the support first from that senior leadership, I think, is really, really important. And Keith, you mentioned around that your key stakeholders, leaders within the business, taking sponsoring or taking ownership of each of the ERG groups, and that's very similar within Hayes UK and Ireland. Each of the board members are sponsors of ERG Group, and our sponsor for the LGBTQ, our Pride Committee, is actually our CEO UK and Ireland. So that visibility, and then bringing that narrative into the updates, and it's just not the other thing. It's just not one event. Okay, we spoke about what we did for across the summer to celebrate Pride Month. It's also important that we are visible and raising awareness throughout the year, but also living it then. So even the visible of the pronouns, but just speaking about it be part of our day to day, so that it becomes normal and people feel very comfortable that they don't have to think about it. It becomes natural. And I suppose the other part, it's just for us, it's evolved. It was our first ERG group, and it's evolved, and it's one of our strongest. But again, maybe Yvonne, it's the small things. It also doesn't have to be the big things. It's the small things that you do every day, gives people that comfort and that psychological safety to be themselves at work, come to work, and look, it's nowhere. People that can be themselves are happier and are more successful. So, again, Andrew, I'm probably not saying one thing. It's a lot of different things, but I think that visibility and that sponsorship and that just open conversation, especially from the leaders within our business, then giving everybody permission to be themselves regardless of what community you're from.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. It's that leadership piece again, isn't it? That really drives everything. That drives culture. So thank you very much for that.
One other thing I might add, actually, the leadership is more allies are really important as well, and that's not just for that. Allies. We need allies, and I think you also spoke about that. That's really key, and we very much encourage allies to be a part of our ERG groups.
Thank you very much, Maureen.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep you all on. I have questions for you all. Keith, I wanted to ask you about. I mean, everything that you've said was amazing, actually, all the different supports and all the different initiatives that there are in PTSB. I wanted to I know that we're focusing on LGBTQ in this particular session, but I wanted to ask, would you agree, and I don't want to feed you in any way, shape or form, but would you agree that support for LGBTQ plus work team members is a visible sign of wider inclusion, and kind of is there an element of rising tide lifts all boats? Would you agree that just focusing on one area, LGBTQ, would also have benefits to everybody from whatever group they are from, or no group?
Couldn't agree more, Andrew. So like if you even think one small initiative that you're doing in PTSB could be a small panel talk, like for example, there's going to be a panel talk next week as a celebration for International Women's Day. The conversations that drives around the office in that people start talking about culture and things that they probably never thought before. So a good one might be, in particular, we heard this from our branch colleagues, is we never realized until we listened to these talks or we went to these events that as a black man or as a gay man or even just as a woman, when you walk into a branch, your whole experience or expectations is very different to if you were a white heterosexual male. So I think just one small event or one talk or one thing that all of the ERGs do definitely does help. Like we've obviously a couple of ERGs, so there's balance, which is gender balance, there's adapt, which is ability, there's dice, which is diversity, live well then, like so it's there's all these different groups, but we're all very much unified into one unity pillar. And while we all might be working on different areas of diversity, 100% we're all interconnected and everything we do definitely has a benefit for all. So if you are LGBT in PTSB, you're gonna obviously see all of these events around diversity, and if you do go along with them, you're actually gonna learn something as well. So there's just a constant like cross learning and cross cultural development that takes place. So I probably would say we're obviously an organization with 3,000 employees, so we're bigger than a lot of other organizations who even applied or are in the final. But I definitely say just because you're working on one thing, if you're in a small organization, don't be afraid to step outside and bring in talks that might be more kind of cross-cultural led than just purely one topic, because definitely I couldn't have said it better, Andrew. Rising tide lifts all boats, and it unfortunately works the other way. Like if someone feels it's okay to make a specific comment, particularly in the workplace, even if it's not related to me, I know for a fact that as soon as they turn the corner, they probably make the same comments about me. So it is very, very important that like as an individual, like we have accountability to challenge. So I always think, particularly growing up in Ireland, the one I've experienced probably the most is maybe working class discrimination probably would be something I experience more than homophobia, because I think it's just one that's a bit more tolerated. And then again, that's definitely another one where when you think if you're lifting all boats and we're bringing in educational talks and we're speaking about these things in the office, it just builds a far better culture that then projects out to our customers as well. But couldn't agree more, Andrew.
Okay, thank you. Alan, I don't have any questions. Your presentation was amazing, and all the work that you're doing at Transdev is incredible. And I'm sure that in a similar vein, that all the supports you're giving to the LGBTQ area apply equally across the board. So congratulations on your win again.
Oh, thank
I have
you.
one more comment, and this is for Yvonne. Also wanted to give you your flowers for your support for the National Lottery support for Belong To. So they do tremendous work in this area. So it's great to know that they're getting support from the corporate world and from outside bodies as well. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Andrew.
With that, I am going to call it to a close here. So thank you to everybody on the panel. Thank you to Shelley. Thank you to Kira behind the scenes, keeping everything flowing. I have one more thing to say before we go, and that is, if you are watching the recording, please do stay tuned, because we'll have the contribution from Greenhouse Software that we're going to tag on at the end of the recording. So with that, thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for staying on. Greenhouse Software were working overseas when the webinar was recorded. Marcelo, who is the DEI Program Manager at Greenhouse Software, has kindly provided us this contribution, which we're happy to share in this recording. Greenhouse Software impressed the judges with their focus on LGBTQ representation in every role search. Voluntary and anonymous demographic information is collected during the hiring process, and this allows the diversity of the candidate pipeline to be monitored. Greenhouse Software also spotlights LGBTQ+ employees through various platforms, showcasing the company as a safe and inclusive space for the queer community. We asked Marcelo to tell us more about this proactive inclusion of LGBTQ candidates in the hiring process. Over to Marcelo.
Hello, absolutely. Thanks for having me and for all the work the Irish Centre for Diversity does. Also, congratulations to all the finalists and a huge congratulations to the winner. Just a bit of context. So Greenhouse Software is the leading hiring platform designed to help companies improve their hiring processes, ensuring fast and fair hiring of top talent. Our mission is to make every company great at hiring, and we lead by example. The people experience and inclusion, diversity, equity, and allyship, PX and NDIA team, is dedicated to building a culture of belonging, promoting fair hiring, and uplifting diverse perspectives. When it comes to your question, Andrew, Greenhouse prioritizes the inclusion of LGBTQ plus candidates in our own hiring strategy for our workforce by affinity-based Boolean search strings to identify candidates from the queer community. It's a way to bring candidates to the pipeline even before a search is officially opened. So we make sure there is a representation of that group together with a variety of other identities in the selection process. Since implementing affinity-based Boolean search strings, the proportion of LGBTQ plus candidates in our hiring pipeline has increased by 25%. This way, all top talent, regardless of their backgrounds, can be considered for roles. Understandably, not everyone feels safe disclosing this part of their identity on job search platforms or social media. So it's key for Greenhouse to collaborate with LGBTQ plus organizations in the region to highlight our commitment to the LGBTQ plus community, showing Greenhouse as an inclusive employer. Greenhouse has been a Dublin Pride partner since 2022, a partnership that continues to grow. Another way to ensure a proactive inclusion of LGBTQ plus candidates in the hiring strategy is through referrals. Being a company where employees, including LGBTQ plus ones, feel like they truly belong and can be their true selves at work is key when we look for top talent in a competitive hiring market. To end, one of Greenhouse's values is belonging, and that is reflected in our culture. Having a culture of belonging means we continue to nurture a vibrant and inclusive workplace where everyone can thrive. We ensure that by investing in employee training, leadership development, ERG groups and leaders, and employee satisfaction, people feel safe and respected and practice allyship. Greenhouse's commitment to LGBTQ plus inclusion is reflected in tangible outcomes. For example, employee training. 100% of Greenhouse employees have completed D&I training, ensuring a company foundational understanding. Another one is leadership development. Over 90% of leaders have participated in advanced idea training, equipping them to foster inclusive teams and environments. LGBTQ plus representation in the workforce. We finished 2024 with 8% of our employees in Ireland identifying as part of the LGBTQ plus community. ERG group. Rainbow House is our ERG group for the LGBTQ plus community with a leadership team, annual budget, and diverse programming for its membership and allies. Also, employee satisfaction. The engagement survey scores have consistently risen with engagement and participation rates both at 79%. And an inclusion, diversity, equity, and allyship score at 86%, showcasing employee commitment to our inclusive culture. There's so much more I could share today, and there is also much more to be done. It would be great to connect and continue the conversation, so feel free to reach out to me. Thanks again for the opportunity. Enjoy the webinar.